Hello, everybody. Here we are again at it with isometric 1 through 8. This is going to be isometric number 1 on your instruction sheet. So as always, if you're watching these, thank you. Hopefully these help, but also be paying attention, be paying attention, because there will be some, I guess you will, Easter eggs or whatnot. But anyways, I'm going to start off again with my front view. It could be your XY plane, could be your ZX plane, could be whichever plane, but all you've got to do is make sure that on your view cube it says front view. Now, here is your first Easter egg of this series, and it is a tool to help you essentially model faster. If you are working with one of the HPs, this does not work with the Mac, unfortunately, because the Magic Mouse does not have a scroll wheel. But if you have a mouse that has a scroll wheel, that's the scroll wheel in the middle between the clickers. Your scroll wheel is actually also a button. You can click it as a button. So in Fusion, if you click, hold, and drag, it'll allow you to pan the stage around. Okay, so instead of having to go down here to the pan button, select it, and then deselect it, all you literally have to do is just hold the scroll wheel as a button and move it around. Okay, so that's going to be the first thing, first Easter egg that I show you of this series. And this becomes very useful, especially if you're just trying to move your object around and whatnot. Okay, so starting off with object number 1, I'm going to do this in a couple of different parts. Just so that way we can kind of see how the process is working. So I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. I'm going to start off right here at my origin, and my width is going to be 0.25. My height is going to be 0.75. Okay. So if you're kind of already noticing, I'm building that first tower on the left-hand side. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw another square, just kind of random out here. I'm not going to give it any dimensions or anything like that because I'm going to apply those later. Now I'm going to cancel the tool and I'm going to click on the dimension tool. All right. Now for the dimension, I'm going to dimension between this top corner and this top corner. And the space in between there is going to be 1.50. You'll notice that on our instructions, the space in between the two towers is 1.50. Okay. So now I'm going to essentially replicate the tower. Okay. Tower is going to be 0.25 in width and also 0.75 in height. Okay. But here's one thing that you will see. If you notice, these two towers right here, they're not aligned properly. They need to be flush with the x-axis. This one is not. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to grab the equal constraint up here at the top. And this is kind of our first foray into constraints. Up here at the top, you have this constraints tab. We're going to learn a lot more about these, but essentially constraints double as kind of like your dimensions. You can apply different types of constraints to match other already constrained lines or objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this one. Now, this one's actually the parallel, so I actually need this one, the equal sign. Okay, the equal sign, I'm going to click on this bottom tab, or this bottom line, sorry. And I'm going to also click on this one right here. Now, you'll notice that it says sketch error, sketch geometry already exists. All right, cool, fine. So then what I am going to do is I am going to hit escape. I'm going to go over here to this one called collinear. If you highlight over collinear, constraints two or more objects so that they share a common line. See, now that is what I want. Now, it's a common mistake to put it equal because you want this to match this. Equal equals equal. Say that 5 times fast. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab this collinear line. And I'm going to click on this one right here. And I'm going to click on this one right here. And then it shifts it down. All right. So that's one way that you can also control where your objects are in space of your design. So I'm going to finish sketch. and I am going to go to home view, click on extrude. I'm going to extrude both of these, negative 1.25, because I just want it to go backwards rather than forwards, okay? So negative 1.25, now I've got those two spaces right there. Now my next object that I need to create is this one down here in the bottom. So I am actually going to create, let's say right here on this bottom frame, okay, on the bottom panel. So now all I need to do is sketch a rectangle, and we're going to apply some dimensions. So this dimension is going to be a dimension of 1. This dimension is going to be a dimension of 1.50. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to collinear these two lines. And then I need to collinear these two lines. Okay, so we're using the collinear constraint a couple of different times during this object, and that will help us to build it. Okay, extrude, and that is going to be 0.25 in height, and there you go. Now, you're probably wondering, Mr. Loxton, isn't there a very much easier way to build this? Oh, absolutely. However, I am trying to show you guys different ways, different tools of how to build these objects, just so you could kind of get exposed to different ways of building, okay? So yeah, you could easily have done this a lot differently and probably a lot easier, but I digress, okay? So we're gonna save this, and this round is gonna be isometric 1. Okay, so I'm going to save that into my drawing figures folder, and then move on into the drawing file. Need to make sure that my Fusion drawing template is selected, select OK. Now these objects are a little bit more complicated, so you'll notice that there are a lot more dimensions to be had with these objects, okay? So if you refer back to your instructions sheet, it shows you every single dimension that you will need in order to properly dimension this object. Okay, so I'm going to go over there, change the scale to 2, place my front view down, and select OK. From there, projected view, select on my parent view, go off to the side, and make an isometric view. And voila, I have my 4 different views there. Make sure this one is shaded. And you'll probably notice something on this one that you have probably noticed in the introduction to 1 through 6 objects, but we should not have had them except for only one object. And it's this line right here, this dashed line. That is what we call a hidden line. And we're actually going to talk about that a lot later on when we get into multi-view sketching, okay? So now I'm gonna add in my dimensions. For my front view, I'm going to want a full-sized overall size of the shape. And then I'm gonna go ahead and select this 0.25, drag this one up here, and I'm going to select this 1.5, and I'll be done, okay? That's all I want. I do not want to duplicate this 0.25 right here because that would be what we call over-constraining the sketch, okay? So now on my front view, again, I'm going to select these 2 corners, give it the full height. And this one right here, I'm going to select those 2 corners, give it that 0.25, and we are done. Now there's one actual thing here that we probably should avoid, but we'll talk about that later on, and it's this 0.25, the extension line right here is covering over our actual object line, so it kind of makes for a confusing dimension. All right, but we'll talk about that one later. Okay, so last but not least, I need this dimension 1.25 as well as this one right here of 1. All right, so once we've got that, you can go ahead and save this object. I'm going to call it dimension or isometric 1, excuse me. And again, make sure it's in our drawing figures folder and make sure we save it. But from there, if you are tuning in and paying attention, thank you for being here. And also, hopefully these videos are helping you out, and hopefully the Easter eggs are helping you out as well. All right. See you next time.